If you're ready to begin this journey, don't forget to hit subscribe right now. The story begins right after this. The ghost of apartment 704, Meher's spirit still cries for justice. Candle. 7th floor, Kember District, Mumbai, a faded apartment complex forgotten by time. Apartment 704 had been vacant for over 10 years. People said it had a presence, something thick in the air. They whispered. A man killed his wife there. Dismembered her, cooked her in pieces, fed her to stray dogs. The body was never fully found. The soul never left. Cloud with rain. Rainy season, July. Rahil, a final year interior design student, moved into Unit 702, just next door. Rent was suspiciously cheap. The agent said nothing, only smiled awkwardly. The first night, as Rahil sketched a project on his laptop, a smell crept through the room. Rotten meat. Bleach. A trace of iron, like old blood. He checked the kitchen, bathroom, drains. All clean. The smell was strongest by the wall shared with Unit 704. Just as he turned away, he heard it, 3 knocks. Talk, talk, talk. He froze. Then, another 3 knocks. But this time, from the bathroom mirror. Crescent moon. The second night. Rahil dreamt of a woman in a white sari, hair loose, face eyeless, sitting at the foot of his bed. She whispered. He boiled me. He laughed as my bones melted in the pressure cooker. Rahil woke up gasping. In the bathroom, the mirror was fogged over, streaked with handprints. He lived alone. The next day, Rahil visited Gulabandi, a woman in her 70s who lived on the 6th floor and chanted the Bhagavad Gita every morning. You're staying upstairs? On the 7th floor, she asked, frowning. That flat is cursed. Her name was Mahiranisa. Sweet girl. Always burning incense, praying quietly. But her husband, he locked her away. Beat her. One day she vanished. A few days later, the smell began. Gulab looked Rahil in the eyes. You've smelled it too, haven't you? Rahil nodded silently. Though not superstitious, Rahil's mother was a devout Buddhist. Since childhood, he'd heard about wandering spirits, souls that died in injustice, unable to move on, clinging to the place of their death, seeking witnesses. Fog. The third night. The knocking returned. But this time, it came from both sides of the wall. One knock from Unit 704. And one, from inside Rahil's own room. Searching the wall, Rahil found a tiny hole, like someone had once drilled through. He shone his flashlight. And saw, an eye staring back. Not human. No iris. No sclera. Just a void, a bottomless sorrow looking back at him. The next morning, driven by something beyond logic, Rahil broke into Unit 704. The door had a faded police seal, a rusted chain, and years of silence behind it. With a bit of force and a crowbar borrowed from a neighbor, the door creaked open, not like it was forced, but like it had been waiting. Inside, the air was thick. Not moldy, not dusty. It was dense with something invisible, like the residue of suffering. Everything was covered in grime, except the kitchen floor, oddly clean. On the table lay a tablecloth with a brown-red stain, unmistakably old blood. In the far corner, beneath a loose floor tile, Rahil found a small cloth-covered notebook. The ink was faded, but the handwriting trembled with fear. The cover read, Mahironis's diary, the last month. June 3rd. He hit me again today. Said I didn't bring enough groceries. I cried under the shower. I miss my mother's mantras. June 7th. He brought another woman home. They laughed. Drank. I protested. He grabbed my hair and slammed my head into the wall. June 12th. I dreamt of my grandmother. She stood in the kitchen and said, Meher, don't let your body become food for dogs. I don't know what she meant. It's the third night she said that. Final page. If someone is reading this, please chant for me. Don't leave me here forever. Rahil trembled. He pulled out his phone to take a photo, but the screen went gray. No signal. No camera. Dead. Suddenly, the old pressure cooker on the stove hissed. No one had turned it on. Rahil stared at it. For a split second, he swore he saw a bloodied hand reach out from beneath the lid, and vanish. A squeal came from the valve. Then, a childlike voice, twisted and sharp. He boiled my bones. Sprinkled salt like he was making dal. Rahil ran. Just as he stepped out the door, the cooker lid slammed shut behind him with a bang. That evening, Rahil went to visit Bhante Chandrasekhar, a Buddhist monk who once gave a guest lecture on karmic unrest and trapped souls. Rahil told him everything, the knocks, the dreams, the diary, the cooker. The old monk sat silently, then recited a short verse in Pali before speaking. When a being is killed in agony, then discarded like waste, their spirit falls into a wandering karmic state. No proper funeral. No prayers. No recognition. Rahil, you heard her because your heart was still enough to receive her signal. But beware, if you open the door to her soul, you inherit a responsibility. Rahil swallowed hard. He wasn't sure he had the courage. But Meher's voice echoed in his memory. Please chant for me. Don't leave me here forever. That night, Rahil knelt on the cold floor of his apartment. He laid out an old cotton mat, lit 3 incense sticks, and opened his mother's worn Kitagarbha Sutra, the Sutra of Earth Store Bodhisattva. He didn't know the whole text by heart. He wasn't a monk. But he recited anyway, not out of duty, but out of compassion. For a soul boiled, broken, and forgotten. When he reached the line, may all beings in the hell realms, hungry ghosts, and beast realms be delivered into liberation. The candles flickered out. The air shifted. And from the shared wall with apartment 704, Rahil heard a faint sobbing. Not a human cry. But a sound crushed under grief, coming from inside the concrete itself. That night, Rahil fell asleep where he prayed. And he dreamed. He stood in the dark sewer tunnel beneath the building. The walls sweated filth. The floor ran thick with sludge and blood. Ahead, in the dim light, he saw Imran, Meher's husband, hacking at flesh on a stone slab, laughing. Meher was beside him, still alive, her body only half there, her eyes open wide, mouth moving with no voice. Rahil wanted to scream. But his throat wouldn't open. Then Imran turned, looked straight at him through the dream. You're just like me. You saw. You stayed silent. Now you'll take my place. The next day, Rahil descended into the building's underground maintenance tunnels, the old sewer system no one used anymore. Something drew him there, pulling at his spine like a magnet of grief. In a far corner, he found a crude chalk circle drawn on the wall, almost like a mandala. Below it, a rotting plastic bag, torn at the edges. Inside, a clump of long black hair, stiff and dry like burnt straw. As soon as he touched it, a whisper fluttered across his ears. "Don't let my hair be washed away. Don't let what's left of me dissolve in filth." Rahil knelt down. Right there in the sewer, he began chanting the Kitagarbha Sutra again, eyes closed, holding the remains between his palms. That night, Rahil returned home with a heavy heart but lighter breath. He slept. And Meher came again. This time, she was whole, not torn, not eyeless, but pale and silent. She said, "Thank you, but it's not enough. The one who killed me still denies it. He lives in a cell, but his soul walks free. He hasn't confessed. He hasn't seen me. Will you help me one last time?" Rahil nodded. She placed a cold, translucent hand over his chest. "Bring him to see me. If you're still watching this video and would like to pray for Meher's soul to be at peace, please comment the number 1 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I highly recommend you do and turn on the bell so you won't miss any upcoming videos. Your support helps us keep creating meaningful content to inform and inspire you. Bikola Jail, one of Mumbai's oldest prisons, had been holding Imran, Meher's husband, for 2 years. He'd never confessed. Not once. He claimed his wife took poison. He said he panicked. That's why he disposed of the body. The court didn't buy it. The public didn't buy it. But still, he showed no sign of guilt. He ate. He slept. But something had begun to crack. Because Imran had started to see things. One day during lunch, Imran stared into his plate of plain rice and lentils. And saw an eye. Bloody. Staring. Floating above the grains. He blinked. It was gone. He threw the plate across the cell and screamed. Prison staff wrote it off as stress. Trauma. They offered psychiatric help. But Imran knew. Meher had entered his food. His sleep. His silence. Rahil knew he couldn't just walk into a prison. So he wrote a letter, anonymous. He mailed it through a law student friend interning at Bikola. It read, "A murderer doesn't fear prison. He fears the face of the one he killed." Attached was a photo of Meher's diary, open to the page where she'd drawn a circle with an eye in it. Underneath, "I'm still here." At night, Imran began hearing a faint giggle from his pillow. Soft. Childlike. It made no sense. But it sank into his ears like poison. One night he woke to the sound of a pressure cooker's whistle. Another, the unmistakable slice of a cleaver through meat. He screamed. "I didn't kill her. She killed herself. I didn't do anything." But deep inside, he had already broken. Rahil returned to Banti Chandrasekhar, clutching Meher's diary and the strands of hair. "I did what you said," Rahil whispered. "I chanted. I prayed. But she's still here." The monk sat still. Then said, "Because karma is not just silence. Karma requires truth spoken aloud. You're the first to hear her. The first to see. She chose you. To set her free, he must speak." Rahil felt the weight drop on his shoulders again. Imran began dreaming of a hallway with no end. Every door he opened led to a kitchen, always the same one. A pressure cooker hissed on the stove. Inside, pieces of Meher. A hand. A braid of hair. Her heart. He ran door to door. Couldn't escape. Then her voice, not angry, Just hollow. You don't need to see me. Just tell the truth. If you're still watching this video and want Imran to speak the truth, please comment the number 6 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I highly recommend you do and turn on the bell so you won't miss any future videos. Your support helps us continue creating meaningful content to inform and inspire you. One chilly morning, under a colorless sky, Rahil received a call. It was a number from Bikola prison. A gruff voice spoke on the line. "Are you Rahil? The man who sent the letter? The inmate Imran wants to speak to you," he said. The one who carries her voice. Rahil froze. He had never met Imran. But Meher must have told him something. Somehow. The visitation room was dim. Yellow light flickered from a weak ceiling bulb. Imran sat across the metal table. His hair had grown longer. His eyes were sunken, but there was no madness, only something broken beyond repair. He didn't wait for Rahil to speak. "She told me, you were the last one listening." Rahil simply nodded. Imran let out a strange laugh, then leaned forward. "I won't lie anymore. Not because I feel guilty. But because, every time I close my eyes, I hear her bones cracking in the pressure cooker. That night, we fought. She wanted a divorce. She threatened to tell everyone about my affair. I snapped. I grabbed the butcher knife. I didn't think. I just stabbed her. In the neck. She didn't scream. She just looked at me. Cried. I dragged her body to the bathroom. I didn't know what to do. I panicked. The smell started. So I cut her. Piece by piece. Cooked her. Flushed her. Fed the rest to strays. I told myself it wasn't my fault. That I was scared. That she was the one who made me do it. He stared up at the ceiling. But her eyes never left. Not once. As Imran finished his confession, a sudden downpour erupted outside the prison. In Buddhist belief, when karmic truth is spoken, when a soul begins to lift, the sky may weep. Rahil closed his eyes, whispering under his breath. Namo Kittagarbha Bodhisattva. May Mahiranasa leave behind vengeance and find peace. When he opened his eyes, the fluorescent lights in the room flickered once. And Imran whispered. She just walked out of the wall. That night, Rahil returned to his apartment. It was quiet. For the first time in weeks, no knocking. No crying. No whispers. He laid Meher's diary on the desk and flipped to the final page. There, a new line had been added, one that hadn't been there before. I forgive him. But I will not return. I'm leaving. Rahil gently closed the book. And exhaled. Apartment 704 was back on the market. The listing read. Spacious 1 BHK. Top floor view. Close to rail station. Peaceful neighborhood. No one mentioned the past. No one needed to. Because Rahil knew. The room had stopped weeping. No smell. No knocks. No eyes in the wall. Only stillness. Like a place once soaked in blood, had been washed by forgiveness. Rahil didn't stay in Mumbai. He moved north, to the Dharamshala, near the Tibetan monasteries. No one understood why an interior designer would leave the city and vanish into the mountains. But Rahil wasn't escaping. He was answering something. He spent his days rebuilding old temples and stupas. his nights chanting for those with no one left to chant for them. He had become a witness to the forgotten. One morning, a package arrived from Bikola jail. Inside, Meher's diary, mailed by the prison warden. Imran took his life last week. Hung himself. Before he died, he asked for this to be sent to the one who heard her last cry. Rahil opened to the last page. A new line had been added, not in Meher's hand, but in different ink. I hope someone, someday, will listen to people like me. Not to tell the story, but to understand. Rahil closed the book. That night, in the cool mountain air, Rahil stood outside the monastery, reciting the Kitagarbha Sutra. As he finished the 108th repetition, the prayer flags fluttered. A gust of wind rang the small bronze bell hanging above the temple door. Ding, dang, ding. Not a knock. Not a scream. Not a cry. Just a thank you. From a world unseen. Thank you for joining us today. We'd love to hear how you feel. Leave a comment below and share one thing you learned today and how you plan to apply it in your life. Your thoughts truly matter to us, so don't hesitate to share them. Reading your comments gives us incredible motivation and encouragement. If you enjoyed the video and found it helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us continue creating meaningful content to inform and inspire you. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.